The wedding was meant to be one of the biggest events in Port Charles history. The flowers were arranged, the champagne was chilled, and the Corinthos estate buzzed with elegance and celebration. Drew Kane was about to marry one of the most beloved women in town, Willow Tate Corinthos. With Michael's full blessing, the town's elite gathered to witness what was supposed to be a fairy tale. But there was one person who hadn't been smiling. Dr. Portia Robinson stood near the back of the outdoor venue, clutching a manila envelope tightly in her manicured fingers. Her face was pale, jaw clenched, and her heartbeat thudded in her ears louder than the classical music playing through the speakers. She debated for days. Should she stay silent and protect everyone from another scandal? Or should she follow her instincts and destroy a day that Willow had been dreaming of? In the end, truth won out. Because the man standing at the altar beside Willow, he wasn't Drew Kane. Not really. And Portia had the test results to prove it. It had started innocently. A conversation in the hospital corridor. A routine blood test. A match where there shouldn't have been one. Curtis had been the first to suspect something was off. After his recovery from the WSB shooting, he'd become more observant, more sensitive to subtle cues. He noticed Drew's memory slips, his inconsistent knowledge of certain Port Charles events, and most troubling of all, the strange way Drew reacted to Willow's kids. The real Drew Kane had adored Wiley and Amelia. He'd fought for them, protected them like a father figure. But this Drew? He called them the kids, too casually. He avoided holding Amelia. He once forgot Wiley's birthday. Curtis brought the concerns to Portia, who initially brushed them off. But when a patient file from Drew's last physical was flagged for irregular blood markers that didn't match his past records, her medical instincts kicked in. A deeper test followed, a full DNA scan against Drew's original records on file at GH. What Portia discovered sent her reeling. This man's genetic markers didn't match Drew Kane. Not even close. Whoever he was an impostor. As the wedding began, guests filled their seats, unaware of the ticking bomb about to detonate. Carly Spencer arrived late, her heels clicking anxiously on the stone pathway. She'd been on edge for days, suspicious of Drew's sudden coldness. They had a complicated past, but Carly still cared deeply about the father of her son. She suspected something was off, and now, as she watched Willow approach the aisle in a simple white lace gown, her unease only grew stronger. Portia moved like a shadow behind the arbor, locking eyes with Curtis from across the lawn. He nodded, encouraging her silently. As the officiant asked for any objections, silence reigned. Willow's hand trembled slightly in Drew's, or rather, the impostor's, as she beamed at her future. Then Portia stepped forward. "I'm sorry," she said, voice echoing across the still garden. "I have to stop this wedding." Gasps filled the air. Olivia Falconeri dropped her champagne glass. Sonny Corinthos took a protective step in front of Nina, as if anticipating an ambush. Willow's smile fell. "Dr. Robinson?" she asked, confused. "What's wrong?" Portia's hand shook as she held up the envelope. "This man is not who you think he is. He's not Drew Kane. I have DNA test results that prove it." Everything fell apart. Drew, or the man pretending to be him, didn't flinch. "She's lying," he said with eerie calm. "She's always had it out for me. She's trying to ruin your happiness, Willow." But Portia stood her ground. "I wouldn't bring this up without proof. These results were cross-verified at GH and a private lab. This man's DNA does not match Drew Kane's official medical record." Willow's eyes welled with tears. No, this can't be happening." Michael stepped in, his voice sharp. "Let me see those results." Curtis handed them over, and within seconds, Michael's face turned white. "She's right. It's not Drew." Chaos erupted. Sonny ordered Dex to secure the area. "Find out who the hell this man really is, and who let him get this close to my family." Carly pushed through the crowd, her face tight with fury. "What did you do with the real Drew?" she demanded, grabbing the impostor's arm. He laughed, then dropped his fake smile. "You'll never find him in time," he sneered. "And by the time you do, it'll be too late." He made a run for it, but he didn't get far. "Jason Morgan, recently returned and watching from the shadows, stepped out and tackled him to the ground. Once in custody, the impostor's identity was revealed, a WSB-trained shapeshifter named Callum Riker. He had extensive reconstructive surgery, altered fingerprints, and an implanted chip allowing him to mimic voice patterns. His mission? To infiltrate Port Charles, manipulate the Quartermain fortune, and destabilize Sonny's empire from within. The real Drew? Kidnapped months ago and held at a secure facility in Venezuela. Callum had slipped into town after Drew's last mission abroad, posing as a wounded hero. Now it made sense. His coldness toward Carly, his lack of memory, his strange bond with Nina, and his resistance to returning to Yelku. Everyone had missed it, until Portia connected the dots. "Portia, you saved my life," Willow whispered later at GH, still in her wedding dress, now smeared with mascara and heartbreak. "No," Portia said gently. "I just did what any doctor and mother would do." Word of the imposter spread fast. Brooklyn was the first to visit Carly at the Metro Court, her voice shaking. If this guy was after Yelku, how many secrets does he know? Ned started an internal investigation, while Michael launched a full-scale operation to find the real Drew. Meanwhile, Nina confronted Sonny. "You told me to trust Drew," she said, her voice full of venom. "You let me walk into that wedding, knowing he was fake." Sonny sighed. "I didn't know for sure, not until Portia spoke up. But I had a feeling. That's why I asked Jason to watch from the sidelines." Jason, now reunited with his family, stood at Carly's side. "We'll get Drew back," he promised. This guy didn't win. But the damage was already done. Willow withdrew from everyone. Her heart had been broken again. First her illness, then her loss of identity, now a fake marriage to a man who had no soul. And, in the background, someone else watched. Nellie Benson, alive and hiding in the shadows of a European safe house, smiled as she watched the chaos unfold on a hacked Metro Court security feed. "Perfect," she whispered. "Port Charles is already tearing itself apart, and I haven't even made my move yet." Michael and Jason, with Anna and Spinelli's help, launched a covert mission to find the real Drew. Sonny called in an old favor from Valentine, who confirmed that a WSB splinter group had operated near Caracas, known for psychological reprogramming. But Drew was strong. He hadn't broken. When they found him, chained but alive, his first words were, "Is Willow okay?" Jason smiled. "She's safe. Thanks to Portia." Back in Port Charles, Drew's return caused shockwaves. Carly rushed to the hospital when he was brought in for observation, and the hug they shared said everything. But the reunion wasn't perfect. "I miss so much," Drew said bitterly. "She almost married that thing." "She didn't," Carly reminded him, "because the people who love you fought back." At first, Portia expected backlash. She had, after all, stopped a wedding. But what she received instead was gratitude. Willow sent flowers with a note that read, "You saved me from a lie. Thank you for giving me a chance at real truth." Curtis embraced Portia outside the hospital, whispering, "That's the woman I fell in love with. I'm proud of you." Even Sonny, who rarely offered praise, sent Portia a message through Jason. "She sees what others miss. Keep her close." GH appointed Portia as lead of a new internal security medical task force, a team dedicated to ensuring no other imposters ever made it through the cracks again. Drew, now home and recovering, paid a quiet visit to Willow. "I'm sorry," he said simply. Willow looked at him for a long moment. "You didn't fail me," she said. "You were taken. But you're here now." She didn't know what the future held, for them or for her. But one thing was certain. Thanks to Portia's courage, Port Charles had been spared a disaster. And as Jason stood by Carly's side at the edge of the Quartermain estate, watching the sunset fall over the now dismantled wedding arch, he whispered, "This war isn't over." Carly nodded. But for now, the truth had won. And the next chapter had only just begun. Nellie returns with Wiley in her sights. Portia faces new threats from the WSB. Drew seeks revenge on those who stole his life. Jason uncovers a second imposter in town. And Willow may have one more secret of her own. Stay tuned. The heartbeat of Port Charles never stops.